Caution. You may want to stop whatever it is you're doing and sit down before watching this video. There is a story out of Peru today that is going to absolutely blow your mind. It confirms the Bible. It confirms the Book of Enoch. It confirms many things this channel has alleged regarding Antarctica and South America. It even confirms stories told by Columbus and medieval map makers. So stay tuned. But first, I would like to, once again, say a big thank you to everyone who has joined us over at the Patreon channel. It's only $1 a month, less, of course, if you sign up for an entire year. But some people have said, Florida Maki, I don't deal with banks, I don't deal with cards. And, money's tight. I can't really justify spending it right now, but I really love your content. What else can I do to help support the Florida Maki? Well, it's real simple. We've talked about going to the playlists for Antarctica, for example, and playing those and letting the ads run. But there's also something else you can do. And it only would take you maybe a minute, and it would be totally free. There is a website called beforeitsnews.com, just like it sounds. beforeitsnews.com, beforeitsnews.com. Now, they have been wonderful about sharing the Florida Maki videos over the years, especially the video that we did recently. There's a YouTube channel, Mike Morales, and he also shared the longest, quote-unquote, lightning bolt, 477 miles over 3 states, that we covered yesterday. If you go to their search page, type in Florida Maki, that's M-A-Q-U-I-S, no R. Florida M-A-Q-U-I-S. It's not Marquee or Marquise, it's Maki. You can find many videos. Global Pentagon Network Alert Update, plus the Patriot Nurse. They share a lot of her stuff here as well. Fantastic website, beforeitsnews.com. But if you're interested in the training, over at the Patreon channel, we delve deeply into how to use the 24 cognitive biases, the 24 logical fallacies. But you can study these on your own. They each have their own website, 24logicalfallacies.com. 24 logical fallacies, just like it sounds, .com. Easy to find. And this one's a little different. It's yourbias.is. yourbias.is. Study these. See if you can find examples of these in your life. It will go a long way to preparing you for the war for the mind that is to come. Now, the Book of Enoch. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one. And they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms, and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them, and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds, beasts, reptiles, and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and drink the blood. 1 Enoch, chapter 7. 1 February 2022, nearly 200 human spines found threaded shish kebab style onto posts in Peru. Shish kebab style backbones in Peru. Here's a map from a medieval map maker. I believe this is Ortelius, showing giants at war with each other. it shows that they take the bodies and they put them over a fire and they dismember them. So what do we have? We have the Book of Enoch. We now have CNN. And now we have medieval map makers. We have 3 sources here. 3 sources for cannibalism. Now, here's the part that many don't get. Some might say, well, wait a minute. Hold on, Maki. Weren't the map makers just showing what the Book of Enoch said? Book of Enoch. The most complete Book of Enoch comes from Ethiopic manuscripts written in Ge'ez, which were brought to Europe by James Bruce in the late 18th century and were translated into English in the 19th century. You see, these map makers would not have had in the 16th or 17th century access to those texts. And even then, in the 16th and 17th century, most people on the planet couldn't even read. And even those who could only read in their language. Now, some might say, well, wait a minute, Florida Monkey, hold on. Why would they use the backbones? Why would they dismember the body and slice each one out particularly and then put it on a spit? This is why. Anybody who's ever dismembered anything knows where the best cuts are. The tenderloins, the fillets. It's called the backstrap. Just type that into a search. BACKSTRAP. It's the most choice cuts. Not to be too graphic. But multiple maps that we've shown reveal giants not wearing any clothes, which would make sense because at the time, nobody would have had the ability to fashion such large garments. And oh, by the way, real quick, when they talk about 3,000 L's on this, it's really 30 L's that they've proven that this was supposed to be. They mistranslated it, which comes out to about 45 feet. And that's key for another point in the video. Now, this particular image of the giant with the shield being chased by a serpent with wings. Notice it's not a dragon. There's no forelimbs. There's no rear limbs. It's just a serpent with wings. Now, let's go to Antarctica. Recent discovery. You can literally see the eye socket, the jaw, right here. It is so easy to see. We have a giant spine, and we have what would be likely the remnants of a wing. Near to a doorway. Now, some said, Florida Maki, why didn't you measure the doorway? Well, let's do this right now. And it proves something else, too. We're going to go ahead and measure this in feet. That doorway is about 80 feet tall. For those of you Europe and elsewhere, about 24 meters. Now, for a 45-foot tall giant, that would be appropriate. Wait a minute, Maki. 80 feet, 45 feet? Hold on. That's much bigger than they would need. Well, that's true. That's very true. Just like we build. This is a 10-foot doorway for people that are 6 feet tall, on average, in North America. Very common, even in the Mediterranean. 10-foot tall French doors. It's not the norm. They're very, very expensive, but they're not uncommon, for sure. Giants were very immoral. If you read through the Book of Enoch, they conducted themselves in an incredibly immoral way. So that's the Book of Enoch. The map makers, they describe giants behaving in immoral ways, war, sinning. Columbus. When Columbus arrived in North America, he described having skirmishes with cannibals. And many people said, oh, he's overblowing the story, and it's not a common practice, and he's lying. 13 January 2020. Columbus's claims of cannibal raids may have been true after all. In 1492, he claimed he fought with cannibals. A new study suggests the explorer's claims could be true. You see, they tried to debunk this for years because of all the other things he got wrong. For example, he thought manatees were mermaids. Nobody's ever proven this. And that the Bahamas were part of Asia, and that the indigenous people of the Caribbean were Indians. Okay, yeah, he misnamed them. That's absolutely right. He was unaware of where he was on the globe, for sure. One claim in the explorer's diaries that remains particularly contentious even today regards cannibals. According to Columbus, a tribe of invading cannibal warriors, aka the Caniba, repeatedly beset his crew and the indigenous communities of the Bahamas when he landed there in 1492. But is there truth to these tales? Now, while there's no evidence they were cannibals, the Caniba were a real group of South Americans, but we do have evidence now. We do have evidence now. The Caribs. Archaeological evidence suggests they never made it as far north as the Bahamas. Either Columbus was wrong again, or historians aren't seeing the full picture of the Carib migration. Now, are you ready for this? Science once again admits it's wrong. Now, a new study published January 10, journal Scientific Reports, suggests Columbus may have been partially right after all by analyzing more than 100 skulls from the Caribbean, plus a few from, you ready for this? Florida and Panama, dating between the years 800 and 1542, researchers concluded that the Carib people were indeed present in the Bahamas as early as the year 1000 AD, meaning Columbus's descriptions of their raids could have been based in reality. Quote, I've spent years trying to prove Columbus wrong when he was right. There were Caribs in the Northern Caribbean when he arrived, study co-author William Keegan, curator of Caribbean archaeology at the Florida Museum of Natural History, said in a statement. See, they've been trying to do this. Debunk Columbus and demonize Columbus. Even this article, Why Cannibals Were on Every 16th Century Map of the New World, by Alison Meyer, this did not age well. She's trying to say that Europeans did it to try to just demonize the dark-skinned people. Basically, in a nutshell. And once again, proven completely wrong. You see this article back here. I should probably read this to give it clarity. What is most revealing during this roughly 150 years or so is that while geography on maps changes to incorporate the latest explorers' accounts, the repetition of unchanging imagery of cannibalism contributed to the perpetuation of the stereotype of native people as savage and uncivilized. Newsflash, they were savages and uncivilized. And we have proof on maps for this. We have proofs from CNN on this. Clear, unmistakable evidence that something is going on in Antarctica that they don't want anybody to know about. That nobody's talking about this. That this isn't front page news. This should tell you everything you need to know. Once again, thank you, everyone who has joined us over at Patreon. We would very, very much like to have you there. We truly would. We do at least a couple of videos a week. There's over 90 videos available with all of the recent content and the historical content going back to 2018. $1 per month, 3 pennies per day. Even less than 3 pennies per day if you sign up for a year. And I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.